Hey everyone. So last video I was reviewing my degree audit to prepare for my academic advising appointment with Ted later on. And I decided that I would write up some questions so that I would be better prepared. So here are the 4 questions that I came up with. Well, technically 5 questions. Can I use my writing courses to complete my AEIS requirements? How can I find multicultural courses, and how many more do I need? What is the difference between BA and a BS, so the Bachelor of Art or the Bachelor of Science? And what requirements do I have left for my groups? So those are the 4 questions. Looks like Ted's coming right out to get me, so we'll continue this in a minute.
Good afternoon, Arturo. I'm glad that you made an appointment to come and see me.
Hey Ted, thanks for seeing me.
No problem. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah, I just came in because I had some questions about my degree audit.
Okay.
And just making sure that I get some of these requirements done. Do you have my degree audit?
I do. Let's pull that up.
Okay.
Okay, so here's your degree audit. What questions do you have?
Well, I wrote some questions down so I would be prepared. So I'll just start with the first one. So can I use my writing courses to complete my AIS requirements?
Okay.
Sorry, so here are my questions. Or sorry, here's my writing requirement.
Yeah.
And but I did take a writing class. It was an AIS writing class, and I was
Sure.
wondering if I still need to take the writing, or if I can complete my AIS requirements by just taking the writing.
I understand what you're asking. So basically, you're asking me if these writing requirements for your degree, the writing 121 and the 122 or 123, could they be used to fulfill your AEIS requirements?
Correct.
That's what I
Or the other way around, if
Or-
I did my AIS requirements,
Yeah.
would they complete this requirement?
So the simple answer is no. They will not fulfill the other requirements. These are the writing requirements right here. That's 121 and 122 or 123 are actually the college level writing requirements for your degree. The AAIS courses are courses that have been specially developed for student non-native English speakers so that they can better their skills in listening and speaking and writing, so that when they get into the college level courses, they won't have challenges in those areas that might influence how well they can do in the courses. Better said, these courses are here to support you in success in the subsequent courses, such as these.
Okay, so I need to take my AIS classes before I take my writing?
Yes, it is beneficial that you do, because the skills that you learn in those classes will build on each other and build you to this level of writing, and that's basically what you need to do. So let's take a look at your AEIS and see where you are as far as that's concerned. So these are the courses that you have to take in AEIS, and it looks like you've completed the listening course. You've also completed one of the reading courses that was required, and it looks like you've completed one of the writing courses. You do have a second writing course. So the skills that you learned in 111 will build in 112, and then those skills can be applied at the higher level, which would be 121 after that. So at this point, I would highly recommend that you take the AEIS 112. If you haven't registered for it this term, register for it this term so that you can get into 121 in the next term.
But they're not counting towards a requirement? Are they counting towards my degree?
Yes, they are counting towards your degree. First off, they are a requirement for you. For your degree, it is a requirement, and these count in an area called the electives. So basically your entire degree can be broken down into 3 areas. The first area are your general education, and the prior writing courses are part of that general education. Then you have courses for your major, and pretty soon we'll be talking about a major together, and those courses will count for your degree as well, part of that 180 that we see up here. And then you have a sort of a pool of credits for electives, and they're usually things that you select, but you've been given the opportunity to take these AEIS courses to help build up your skills, and those courses will count toward the degree in this 180 credits within the elective pool.
So how many electives do I have?
It differs from student to student based on their majors, what they take in their major, what kind of gen ed requirements they still have, things like that. So it's around 45 credits.
Oh, 45.
In general, but it can be less and it can be a little bit more depending on certain factors.
So I want to make sure I get all these requirements done. Is there a list of electives so I can start working on those?
That's a really good question. Actually, any class is an elective, really, as long as it's not fulfilling the general education requirements and not fulfilling your major requirements. They all can be electives. And so, like, for instance, if you're into physical education and you really like to go swimming or jogging and you want to have a class around that, that's a class that you'll elect to take for your own well-being, and that'll count toward your electives. So it could be anything like that. If you're into drawing or painting, those are kind of those classes that'll end up in the electives as well. And then anything that sparks your interest.
Okay.
If you decide on a minor will eat up those elective credits as well.
Okay.
And we can talk about majors and minors at a later date if you want to.
Okay. I was looking at my multicultural requirement.
Oh, yes.
Let me show you right here. And I notice I have 2 more courses left to take, American Cultures and Identity, Pluralism, and Tolerance. And I don't know how to find these courses.
Okay. So first I want to talk to you about what is actually being asked within this section. You just mentioned to me that you thought you had 2 more courses, and I'm assuming that you mean because American Cultures is not full and Identity and Pluralism is not full, that you think you have 2 more courses. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if we look up here at the top line right there, it's actually, you need a total of 2 courses from the different areas, a total of 2. So if we look down below, International Cultures right here, you already have 1 course there. So you just need 1 more course in one of these 2 other areas for a total of 2. Was that pretty clear?
Yes.
So could you repeat that back to me?
So I need 1 more course from either of these areas here.
That's correct. And that would be a total of 2 with the international.
Total of 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll open up we'll go look at the class schedule. Let's just open up a search for that. And you can type in the regular classes at uoregon.edu. And let's just go into the fall schedule. So, and this is the search engine that you'll use to look for individual classes. And you can see along here on the left-hand side, subject, course number, and stuff.
I'm familiar with this, but I was going through here and I couldn't find any multicultural
Great.
classes.
Let's do a different filter then. Right here where it says Gen Ed requirements, we can filter by those attributes. Arts and letters, social science, etc. And if you look down below, we can filter by all the courses that have the multicultural attribute of American Cultures.
Okay.
So, and then here's International Cultures, and here's Identity and Pluralism.
Okay. So I like international cultures.
That would be fine if you want to look at that, but you already have 1 International Cultures. Remember,
Oh, so I can't take any more.
Not necessarily. You're more than welcome to take as many multicultural courses as you want to, if there are things that you really enjoy and stuff. But in order to fulfill the requirement, you need 2 courses in different areas.
Okay.
And so you already have the International Cultures. So let's look at American Cultures, and we'll talk about some of the coding and stuff in here, I think. Good. So these are all, the filter, it was filtered by the American Cultures. And so these are all of the courses that are available this fall. that fulfill that requirement.
So I could take any of these courses.
Any of them, as long as you meet prerequisites, if there are prerequisites attached to these courses.
So how do I know that they're multicultural?
So let's take a look at one up here on the top. So if we look at this Anthropology 344, I know because of this attribute at the end here, this AC, I know that means American culture. So that lets me know that's multicultural.
So what's the 2?
That's a really good question. So in order to filter, we have codes. And one of the codes is this 2, and this means it's also a social science course. So for instance, arts and letters is coded as a 1, social science is a 2, and science is a 3.
Okay.
Yep.
So will this count in both areas?
Yes, matter of fact, it will count in both areas. So basically, it can fulfill the social science group requirement, and at the same time the American cultures. And we have a terminology called double dipping, and that's what we would call that.
Okay, cool.
So 1 course, 2 requirements.
I think I want to take this class because I want to graduate early. So
Well, that's a good thing to think of. Do you really graduate earlier because you're sort of doing 2 requirements with 1 course? The simple answer to that is that you still have the 180 credit total that you need to get to for your degree. So it doesn't get you there any earlier. You still have that total to meet.
okay.
Yeah,
So, but it does count in 2 areas.
that's correct.
Oh, but I only get 4 credits, not 8 credits.
That's correct. Just because it counts in 2 doesn't mean you double the credits. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Is it okay if I ask a couple more questions?
Yes, you may.
Do we have time?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it's regarding the Bachelor of Art and Bachelor of Science requirement.
Okay.
Right here. So I completed both the BA and the BS. Can I pick both degrees? Can I graduate with 2 degrees?
No, you have to choose between the Bachelor of Arts and the Bachelor of Science.
Okay.
Sometimes the major that you select will tell you which one you have to take. So there are some majors that are only offer Bachelor of Arts, while there are some majors that only offer the Bachelor of Science. And then there's a bunch of majors that offer both. So you have to make a selection. And
So I'm a little nervous though because I don't have my major picked yet. And so what if I pick the wrong degree?
no matter what, whenever you select it, if you select one and you want to change it, you can always change it. These things are not set in stone. And I think when you select I would wait to select your major in making a decision which one you want, because you'll sit down with an advisor and they'll go over best options, sort of an efficient way to use these as a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, because these will also affect how they're going to filter if you don't use them. For instance, if you don't use the Bachelor of Arts courses, you decide on a Bachelor of Science, these courses up in the Bachelor of Arts will filter into your Gen Ed groups, such as Arts and Letters for French. Conversely, if you decide on the Bachelor of Arts as your degree, your courses in your Bachelor of Science will also filter into those groups, namely the science group.
So I need to take, if I do a Bachelor of Science, I need to take more science classes?
Not necessarily. You could not necessarily. It just depends on how many math courses and stuff you have. We would have to look at your groups to see what's going to go on. It also, if you select a major that's heavy in math, those will filter automatically into that group as well. So it's really contingent upon your major, how things are going to filter in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other question I had was about my groups.
Sure.
So here are the classes that, the French classes are not counting in the arts and letters. And here the math classes are not counting in the science group.
And that's because you haven't selected a degree yet. And once you select a degree, for instance, if you select the BS, then these French courses will filter up into your arts and letters. If you select a BA, then those math courses will filter up into the science groups for you.
Okay.
And that's why it's really important to speak with an advisor when you select your major, so that you can make a decision how you want things to filter. So for instance, you might select a major that's a heavily math major. So selecting the Bachelor of Science might be a really good decision at that point. Whereas if you were selecting like history, and you don't want to do a lot of math, then we would be talking about a BA, and then we would have to talk about how to fulfill the requirements for these groups with that.
So my friend told me that international students get automatic BA.
It's not automatic. There is a third option another option for your BA. So, for instance, when you fulfill the writing requirements for the degree, which are writing 121 and 122, you can actually go to the registrar's office and talk to them about using those courses to fulfill the BA requirement. The one stipulation behind that is you would have to prove that when you were going to high school in the country where you were from. So where are you from?
I'm from Mexico.
Mexico. So you would just have to prove to them that when you were in Mexico and you were going to high school, that the language was not English in that high school. More or less, you were taught in Spanish. If you can prove that, then you can use your writing requirements here to fulfill the BA. So there is another route to the BA. It's really a really interesting route for international students.
Yeah,
American students don't get that choice.
My high school was in English.
It was in English.
It was.
Then to get a BA, you're gonna have to do that language requirement, just like the domestic students.
Okay, but I already have.
And you already have it because you did French. You must have really liked French.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the questions I have today.
Do you know how the groups work? How to fulfill your groups very well?
Oh, let's take a look.
Because this can be tricky as well. Arturo, I don't expect you to memorize this. I'm not going to test you on this at the end, but having a good idea of what these are so that you know how to ask the questions, you know what to ask, is really important. And there's always an advisor available to go over this with you as well. But let's kind of go over this a little bit.
So for my social science, I just need two more classes.
Well, let's just scroll up to the guidelines for this, kind of like the rules for this. And it's right here, the group requirements. And the first one is for each group, you need to have minimum of 15 credits in each group. So that would be 4 classes or 16 credits, right? And then 2 of the courses need to be in the same subject code. We call that kind of a pair, and that's the depth that you need in each area, right? You're getting deep into a subject. And then 1 needs to be from a different subject code so that you're getting breadth in that area. And so, for instance, if we look down at your social science, what you were just talking about, good. So right here, you already have 2. You have that difference, right? You're already getting that breadth, but we don't have the depth yet. And we don't have the requirement, the minimum credit requirement fulfilled. So you did say you wanted just two courses, right? Would fulfill this, but it would be one that would have to be, it would have to be a depth. So maybe another history or journalism course, or you're very welcome to take 2 other classes that are social science classes with the same subject code. For instance, psychology and psychology.
Okay.
And then you would have your depth, and then you have your breadth.
Okay.
Does that help you a little bit understand that?
Yeah, I like, how do I find the 3 credit courses? Because I only need 15 credits.
So most of the courses here are 4 credits. 3 credit courses there are some out there, but they're not going to be fulfilling these areas usually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I could search for these classes the same way I search for the multicultural.
Exactly.
With the
Why don't you
class
take a look
schedule.
at that? Just, page back. There we go. So where you did the multicultural, if you open that up again, there's arts and letters, social science, and science as well. It's kind of a handy tool so you
Yeah.
can see those classes. So let's open that up and let's take a look at one of the classes. It's running a little slow today. It always does. So here's one of the classes. So, based on, if we're looking at this first class, this is a social science. Remember the code 2 up at the top there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
Do you know
code
what
2.
do you know what this class is about?
That's a great question to ask. And this search here will give you that information. So see where it says lecture right underneath?
Okay.
And if you click on that CRN, it'll pull up specific information for this class. So here it gives you a short description of what it is. It gives you who the instructor is, where it is, and stuff like that. Of course, the times. Also remember, this lecture has a discussion, so you have to select a lecture and a discussion when you're choosing this class. They go together. Here's something really interesting to keep in mind: academic deadlines. Dates where you can drop the course with certain percentages of a refund without getting a W recorded with, and then last date to grade, to change the grade for the class. Sort of like if you might not pass it, or you're going to pass it with a C minus, and you don't want it to affect your GPA, you can change the grading option so it won't affect your GPA that much. But we can discuss that a little later when you come to those questions. And then there's an expanded description as well, which is really nice. Sometimes teachers up at the top will also give you a link to an old syllabus or the current syllabus as well. And sometimes there's a link to a more descriptive web page for the course. And then you can always email the instructor with specific questions about the course if you want to, just by clicking that envelope.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think those are all the questions I have today. Are you going to be my advisor now until I graduate?
I can be if you want me to. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to be part of your academic team as you walk on this journey through your education, and I'm more than happy to be one of those team members. When you get a major, you're going to have a major advisor who will advise you around the courses in your major. But I will always be here as a resource, as well as any of the academic advisors here in Oregon Hall. Just like you did before, always contact your advisor ahead of time, be proactive, and make an appointment. Through the appointment, we're able to spend a little more time with you than just in a drop-in. So I highly recommend always looking forward to making those appointments.
Well, thank you for your help.
Arturo, thank you for coming. We'll see you next time, yeah?
Bye-bye.
Bye.